Hi guys, welcome back to the DeFi series. In this video, we will talk about the journey of DeFi. We will see how DeFi has evolved over the years and where we stand today. So let's get started. As all of you know, the journey of cryptocurrency started with Bitcoin being the first decentralized cryptocurrency that is running on blockchain. Bitcoin was being invented by Satoshi Nakamoto. We can think of Bitcoin as a form of money which is not controlled by banks or governments, and it lays the groundwork for DeFi as well. So Vitalik Buterin came up with this idea of programmable money. So he proposed Ethereum, where you can program it using smart contracts. And smart contract is nothing but a business logic that is running on top of blockchain. He proposed this in 2013. After this Ethereum being proposed in 2014, Brune founded MakerDAO with the intention to create a decentralized stable coin. He thought if the cryptocurrencies can be decentralized, so why can't we have a stable coin which is decentralized and which is not controlled by banks and governments? So in 2015, the Ethereum was finally launched, which allowed users and developers to create decentralization applications on top of it by writing smart contracts, which are being returned in Solidity, and also enable the ERC20 token. At this point of time, we have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, both of these are cryptocurrencies. And as we know, the cryptocurrencies' price are volatile. So there came a need for stablecoin, which Rune already proposed. So in 2017, USDT was being launched on Ethereum by a company called Tether. USDT is a form of stablecoin. Its value is stable. It's being pegged to a US dollar and it's backed by a fiat currency like a US dollar being stored in a reserve. We have already covered the types of stable coins and what are stable coins in the past videos. If you don't know, please check it out. And in the same year, 2017, MakerDAO came up with a stable coin called DAI, and this is again pegged to a US dollar. The difference is it's not backed by a fiat currency. DAI is backed by other cryptocurrencies like ETH. This is called a single collateral DAI, and we will see how it evolved going forward. So, with stablecoins being around the picture, so in 2018, the Ethereum developers were having a chat in a Telegram group where they coined this term called decentralized finance DeFi. In 2018, Circle and Coinbase, which is one of the biggest centralized exchanges, they launched a stable coin called USDC, which is similar to USDT. It's being pegged to a dollar and it's backed by a fiat currency as well. So in 2018, USDC was launched on Ethereum. And in the same year, we see Uniswap was being launched. So Uniswap is one of the biggest decentralized exchanges. It was the first one that came up with this concept of automated market makers. We call them AMM. And this is something which we have covered in the past. Do check out the playlist if you don't know what AMM are. So at this point of time, we have Ethereum, we have Bitcoin, we have other stable coins. So there was this need to trade ETH with other cryptocurrencies. So in 2018, this version allowed you to trade ETH with other ERC20 token. And smart contract functionality, it enabled developers to create other ERC20 tokens on top of it. This trading facility was really essential for the DeFi system to grow. And in the same year, with trading, there was this need for lending and borrowing. The compound was being invented, where it's a decentralized lending and borrowing platform. What it means is you have extra cryptocurrency, you can deposit to a liquidity pool, you will get interest on top of it. And if you are somebody who needs money, you can borrow it from this liquidity pool. And in return, you need to pay fees and you also need to keep asset as collateral. So this required over collateralization to ensure the safety of the user. So even with Compound, we saw user to protocol lending happening with the help of pools, which was really efficient and new way to do lending and borrowing in the Ethereum space. Then, with all these DeFi protocols around and then users playing by putting the cryptocurrencies, there was this need of having insurance, how we have in the traditional space. So, we wanted insurance against smart contract hacks or exploits. There is this popular insurance protocol, which is called Nexus Mutual, that came on Ethereum in 2018. Provided you insurance against smart contracts hack. So basically, as a user, you need to tell protocol, I need insurance against these protocol, and your smart contracts will be covered for that particular protocol. A protocol called DYDX was launched, which identified this need for margin trading and derivatives. So, what I mean by margin trading is you are allowed to take leverage on your position. Let me break it down for you. So, let's say you have $10 worth of ETH and you want to place a trade with $50 worth of ETH. That is something which is possible with DYDX. You can take like a 5x leverage on your position and do your trade. It enabled users to do trading using margin. And then DYDX, as the name suggests, it's come from the mathematical donation of derivatives. So it's also enabled derivatives which could be traded. And derivatives is nothing but it's like you have another asset which is derived from the underlying asset. Brings 2018 to an end. I know a lot has happened in 1 year itself. So now let's come to 2019. Now, with all these protocols coming up, let's say I have cryptocurrency. I want to get the best price, the cryptocurrency. So they wanted something like an aggregator that could tell them where they can get the maximum benefit. So we saw the introduction of 1inch on Ethereum, which allows you to aggregate trades across different dexes and shows you that the user will get a best price when they are trading something. And all of that you get in one place, like 1inch. We saw the DAI was being backed by a single collateral called ETH. So in 2019, MakerDAO came up with an upgrade where they made DAI a multi collateral asset. So now it's not just being backed by ETH, but it's backed by other cryptocurrencies like USDC, like Basic Attention Token, and others. So that's how the DAI evolved. In the same year, we see synthetics, which is again a derivative platform that allows you to do margin trading. It came up with its liquidity incentive program on Ethereum. The idea was it introduced this concept of synthetic assets. So, synthetic assets basically means you have an asset, here you're creating another asset which is mimicking the behavior of an asset. So, let's say you have USDC and now you're creating a synthetic asset called SUSDC. So they allowed users who use the synthetic assets, they gave them rewards, they came up with this incentive program to make their protocol attractive, and then users will use the protocol. It brings 2019 to end, and now comes the most exciting part, which is 2020. Starting of 2020, Aave, which is a lending and borrowing protocol. I'll give you some history about Aave. So, what happened was there was this protocol in 2017 called ETH which is again a decentralized lending platform. So, in 2017, it enabled you to do peer to peer lending. But that has issues because it's not scalable, it's not efficient. Like, you need to match users to buyers. So, in 2020, ETHLend pivoted to Aave, and now they thought, okay, we don't want to do this user to user or like peer to peer lending. Instead, we will do user to contract lending. So they came up with this concept of liquidity pool that they will use for lending. So it's very similar to how Compound has done, but they came up with this new idea of flash loans. And flash loan is a type of loan that you can take without depositing any collateral. The only condition is it should be paid in a single Ethereum transaction. You can just think of it like a way where you get the loan, you don't have to pay any collateral. If you make a profit, you keep the profit and then give the protocol their fees, but if you make a loss, the protocol will behave as if nothing happened. The flash loans was like a really catchy means to attract users, and then we saw Aave got TVL of $1 billion in starting of 2020. On 11th March 2020, the World Health Organization announced COVID-19 as a global pandemic. The result of that announcement came on global markets, including the crypto market as well. So 12th March 2020 is named as the Black Thursday event. And with this event, we saw ETH price dropping to more than 30-40% in less than 24 hours. And as a result, we saw MakerDAI that was being backed by ETH. It also faced consequences. And at the same time, we saw the Ethereum network was congested. Users has to pay thousands of dollars as gas fees, and made us think whether Ethereum is really scalable. And it made us think about other alternatives. And that's how we thought about this design of scaling Ethereum, where now we see the L2s that are there to scale Ethereum. So it was like a reality check for the crypto industry altogether. Post that, the DeFi summer started, and then we saw new and new protocols in the summer of 2020. And the DeFi TVL went up from $1 billion to $10 billion on Ethereum. And then there were a lot of stable coins, a lot of protocols promising crazy APYs. So let's see what happened in the summer of 2020. Compound protocol that we saw at when they launched initially, it was being controlled by the protocol itself. Now they came up with this idea of introducing a token called comp, which they will give people as reward for using their platform. And this comp token allowed the governance to be decentralized, the governance to be distributed. What it means is, let's say if you go to a coffee shop and then if you buy a cup of coffee, in return, the coffee shop will give you a cookie as a reward, somewhat similar to that. So that really attracted a lot of user, and this process is called liquidity mining that initiated with Compound. And in the same year, we see different protocols, people earning crazy APYs, but users wanted something where they can see at one place how they can make maximum profit or how they can earn maximum yields. So, Yearn Finance was being introduced. It launched on Ethereum in the DeFi summer, and it was like a yield aggregator where you can check where you can get the maximum yields. As we all know, the protocol source code is open source. There came a moment where a new protocol in the DeFi space came up called SushiSwap, whose idea was to fork the Uniswap source code and then get users from Uniswap into their protocol by offering them rewards. They were able to migrate $1 billion from Uniswap to SushiSwap. And this type of attack is called a vampire attack. So, as the name suggests, the SushiSwap protocol was able to drain the liquidity from Uniswap, and it was like a way for protocols to be aware how they can maintain their users, because now they need a strategy for stable strategy for long term relationship with their users. As a response to this, the Uniswap launched the Uni token, which they gave as an airdrop to their users. In fact, they gave airdrop of around $1,200 to all the users that were using Uniswap, and by doing this, they were able to attract $2 billion worth of liquidity back. Was this new mechanism of earning yield, which was being introduced by Lido staking, is if you stake your ETH is locked. You cannot use it unless and until you withdraw it. So Lido came up with this new concept of liquid staking. What I mean by liquid staking is you stake your assets, then in return you get a liquid asset. And by liquid asset, what I mean is you can use this asset to do whatever you want. Like you can use this asset to trade or to take a loan or do anything with it. So Lido offered it for Ethereum, and it allowed you to have these STE that you can do anything with. And that brings the year 2020 to an end. Now in 2021, we see all the existing protocols that are there. They are adding on new features, upgrading these versions. So Uniswap also came up with a new version. In this, what they have done is they introduced this idea of concentrated liquidity. So earlier, what used to happen is if you deposit your money, let's say in a ETH and DAI pool, then the distribution was being done equally across the whole curve. So, what happens with concentrated liquidity is you will get more rewards if you are in an area where more trades are being happening. So, in a way, the capital efficiency is being optimized. The liquidity providers will get more capital, and this is like a major upgrade to the Uniswap. And Uniswap is like the most forked version in the entire history of crypto and this industry standard for AMM. Then in 2021, there was this other protocol that came up called Rocket Pool. Rocket Pool is very similar to what Lido is. It allows you to do this liquid staking. They have their own token. And similar to Yield Finance, we had another protocol in 2021 called Beefy Finance, which allows you to again optimize yields across multiple chains. And at this point of time, in November 2021, we see the DeFi TVL is crossing $178 billion, which is like huge success for the DeFi space. And 2022, something sad happened. So we had a stable coin called USD, which was being invented by a company called Terra. They also have the cryptocurrency called Luna. So USD is a algorithmic stable coin. And what happened was it was pegged to dollar, but it ended up resulting in a depeg, due to which we lost $40 billion from the crypto ecosystem. This is something that shows how algorithmic stable coins are difficult to sustain. But with every technology, there are like good side and then sides that needs to be improved. Then in 2022, to keep the momentum high, Ethereum went through their merge. We know ETH 2.0. So now Ethereum was being transitioned from a proof of work protocol to a proof of stake protocol, reducing the energy by 99%. And in 2022, Compound launched their new version that enabled you to do single borrowing assets. So, what Compound did was an asset you have to use ETH as collateral. And then, if you want to pay out interest, you will use USDC. So, they tried to make their design less complex. And that was one of the different steps taken by Compound. And then Aave also launched their new version, which at this point of time is now being expanded to non Ethereum and Ethereum ecosystems. Same year, 2022, we saw Hyperliquid was being born, which is like a perps DEX. By perpetual, I mean like a form of derivative that doesn't have an expiry, as the name suggests. It will keep on going forever. So it allows users to open up derivative positions that will not expire. And the one thing which is to note about Hyperliquid is it was a protocol that didn't needed any gas fees. The next year, which is 2023, again, all these protocols are coming up with their enhancements. We see the layer 2 solutions like Arbitrum, Optimism, Base. They have grown their TVL to $15 billion. And at the same time, the European Union adopted MiCA, which is Markets in Crypto Assets. What it means is there was this framework that made the crypto and its assets regulated in the European Union countries. And it's like a bigger step because now we have clarity in the crypto space in the EU countries. And then the DYDX thought about having their own chain, so build their own chain, which is built on Cosmos SDK using Comet BFT to increase the overall perps experience for the user. And we have seen like concepts like Lido and Rocket Pool. which is for liquid staking, there came another protocol called Eigenlayer that said liquid staking is good, but what if I give you an opportunity where you come up with your staked asset and then you deposit those stake assets to secure another service other than Ethereum. So it allows you to secure the AVS, which is actively validated services like data availability layers, bridges, or oracles. So Eigenlayer provided you this concept of restaking, which is really cool and which lets you earn rewards on top of your staked ETH. And last year in 2024, Uniswap launched their own chain, which is called Unichain, as a layer 2, which enables you to earn staking rewards if you have Uni tokens with you. And in the same year, the MakerDAO that we saw, they rebranded themselves to Sky. So they renamed their DAI token to USDS, and currently, in the last year, they had supply of $9 billion. And we saw DeFi market went across a rapid growth last year. And last year, we see a protocol called Ethena, which launched a stable coin called USDCE, which is again like a synthetic stable coin. It's like a yield bearing stable coin. So you can actually earn yields using the Ethena stable coin. See Sonic, which is another chain. Basically, what happened is Phantom got rebranded to Sonic, and then they had their mainland launch. They are claiming to bring the DeFi summer back, and we see a lot of cool DeFi activities being happening in the Sonic space as well. And if you see this year, the Uniswap they launched their latest version, which is V4, which allows you to customize the hooks that you want, which is like users and traders are being given more customization on top of the existing things that they have. And the same year, current year, Berachain is being launched, which is another layer one, which is EVM identical. They have their own consensus mechanism called proof of liquidity. And currently, they have TVL of over $3 billion. What is unique about Berachain is they have all these DeFi narratives inbuilt into the blockchain, and then they have the stride token model that allows the distribution to be even across the whole ecosystem. That's another space to watch out for if you are interested in the DeFi. And the Aave latest version is being planned in the middle of this year. Let's see when it will be launched. I hope it was useful. If you don't understand all of it, it's okay. We will cover most of these protocols as we go along. In this level, I just wanted to give like a high level overview of the whole DeFi journey. And if it was useful, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.